How much does Zine cost you per week, per month, and per year? The honest answer is that it depends entirely on your state, your retailer, and how many cans you actually use. So instead of quoting one number as if it were a universal fact, I'm going to show you the exact method so you can work out your own real number by the end of this video. The method is simple. Take your price per can, multiply it by how many cans you use in a week, and that gives you your weekly spend. Multiply that weekly number by the weeks in a month to get your monthly spend, and by the weeks in a year to get your yearly spend. For this video, so we have real numbers to work through together, I'm going to assume a price of $5.50 per can and a use rate of 10 cans a week, which is roughly 1 tin every day and a half. That assumed price and that assumed use rate are placeholders, not a claim about what you personally pay. And I want to be upfront about that before we do any math. Using those assumed numbers, $5.50 a can times 10 cans a week works out to $55 a week. Multiply that $55 weekly figure by 52 weeks in a year and divide by 12 months, and the assumed monthly total comes out to about $238. Multiply the same $55 weekly figure by 52 weeks in a year instead, and the assumed yearly total lands around $2,860. Those numbers are only useful as an example because nicotine pouch prices are not set nationally. They move with state tax policy. State cigarette excise taxes alone range from 0.17 a pack in Missouri to $5.35 a pack in New York, according to the CDC, and states tax other nicotine products, including pouches, under their own separate rules that vary the same way. If you want your own assumed inputs to be more accurate than mine, look up your own state's tobacco tax page, or simply check your last receipt for the actual price you paid. Add your state and local sales tax on top of the excise tax, and then your specific retailer's markup, and you can see why two people in different zip codes rarely pay the same price for the same can. That is exactly why this video teaches you the calculation, instead of handing you a single headline number to repeat. It also helps to understand how big this category has gotten, because that context is part of why a cost calculator like this exists in the first place. Nicotine pouches like Zine are not a niche product anymore. They have become one of the fastest growing nicotine categories in the country. Research from Truth Initiative, using retail sales data, found that oral nicotine pouches have now surpassed disposable e-cigarettes in the total amount of nicotine sold, even as disposable e-cigarette sales keep climbing too. A separate Truth Initiative analysis found that sales of oral nicotine pouches grew from about 126 million units in the last few months of 2019 to more than 808 million units in just the first quarter of 2022. That same research found oral nicotine pouches are now the second most commonly used tobacco product among middle and high school students, right behind e-cigarettes. Nicotine pouch use has also been climbing fastest in rural areas and among white non-Hispanic youth, according to that same Truth Initiative research, which is part of why public health groups are watching this category closely. On the manufacturing side, a Federal Trade Commission report cited by Truth Initiative found that companies sold $1.06 billion worth of nicotine pouches, lozenges, and other oral nicotine products in 2022, more than double what they sold just 2 years earlier. Zine specifically has led that growth, with research showing it held the largest unit share among nicotine pouch brands sold in the United States from 2019 through 2022. Zooming out tobacco spending as a whole, states are projected to collect nearly $26 billion in 2024 from tobacco taxes and legal settlement payments. Public health researchers have also found that raising price is an effective way to reduce demand for tobacco. A 10% increase in the average price of a pack of cigarettes is estimated to reduce cigarette sales per person by about 7%. That price sensitivity is exactly why your own number matters more than any headline figure. If your state raises its tax or your retailer changes its price, your weekly, monthly, and yearly totals move right along with it. On the regulatory side, the FDA has authorized a set of 20 Zine nicotine pouch products to be marketed with modified risk claims for adults who already use tobacco or nicotine products. That same FDA announcement is explicit that fully quitting all forms of tobacco and nicotine products, not switching to a pouch, is what most benefits an adult smoker's health, since the modified risk claim is about reduced exposure for people who keep using nicotine rather than a way to quit it. So instead of trusting a single number pulled from a headline or a forum post, let's walk through the actual calculator so you can get your own real answer in under a minute. On the page, you will see two simple fields. The first one is labeled cans used per week, and that is where you type in how many cans you actually go through in 7 days. The second field is labeled price per can, and that is where you enter the real price you pay at your own store. Tax already included, not a number you saw somewhere online. Once you fill in both fields and press the Calculate Savings button, the tool runs the exact math we just did by hand. Price per can times cans per week for your weekly spend. Then it projects that out to a monthly figure and a yearly figure. If I plug in my assumed $5.50 per can and 10 cans a week, the calculator produces the same roughly $55 weekly, $238 monthly, and $2,860 yearly figures we walked through earlier, except with your real numbers, it will show your real totals instead of mine. The calculator is deterministic. It only uses the numbers you type in. It does not guess your state or estimate a market average for you, so the accuracy of the result depends entirely on the accuracy of what you enter. This calculator lives inside a set of free quit tools built by Day One, the quit tracking app from Reno Labs that you can run on your iPhone to log your streak and your savings in one place. If cutting back on Zyn is part of a bigger quit attempt, the NHS notes that stop smoking products, including nicotine replacement therapy like patches or gum, can make managing symptoms easier, and a GP or local stop smoking service can help you pick one. Once you have your real weekly, monthly, and yearly numbers from the calculator, write them down somewhere you will actually see them, because an abstract cost is easy to ignore and a specific dollar figure is not. A yearly number in particular tends to be the one that changes how people think about a daily habit, because it turns something that feels small in the moment into a number that looks like a real expense. None of this requires you to make a decision right now. The calculator's only job is to turn your own price per can and your own weekly use into an honest, specific number. Because tax rates and store prices both change over time, it is worth rerunning the calculator with an updated price every few months instead of trusting one number forever. You can try it yourself right now at renolabsq.com/quit/quit Zyn savings calculator. The link is also in the description below this video. Enter your own price per can and your own cans per week, and let the tool do the math instead of relying on someone else's assumed numbers, including the ones I used here today.